Welcome to this Getting Started lesson for Dive Integrated Chemistry and Physics and Chemistry. This is Dr. Shorman. For the next few minutes, I want to show you how to get the most out of your Dive Science e-learning course. Thank you for purchasing this course, and before you get going, I just want to make sure you know that as you watch this Getting Started, not everything you see will be from one of those two courses, Integrated Chemistry and Physics or Chemistry, because there's a lot of similarities in the way the courses are taught from course to course, like biology or science, things like that. You may see some things from those as well. Dive High School science courses all have a similar format. On this course homepage, you can see the main menu on the left, and you can scroll through that and see how it's broken up by week, and it's a 32-week course. And on the course homepage, there's information like this Getting Started video, as well as a teacher's guide, and that helps you to make decisions on whether you want to do an honors or a standard course, selecting a reading supplement using what we call the timed method, where you don't have to get this course finished in 32 weeks. You don't have to stress out about that, but do your work for a certain amount of time each day, 4 to 5 days a week. And there's other important resources available there too on the course homepage. But let's just go ahead and start and look at a week, and we'll just click on week 1 here, and you can see how it's broken up by day, and you do some reading and your vocabulary day 1. Day 2 is doing video lecture and review questions, and that's what we consider completing a lesson. Day 3 is a video lab activity. And sometimes there's a day 4 if there's more than one video lecture for that particular week. So in this Getting Started video, we'll focus on those components within each day, like how to use your flashcards, the online textbook, reading what that's about, doing a video lecture, things like that. To complete your definitions, you can either write the definitions using the Dive glossary, which is found on your course homepage, or you can use these digital flashcards. And so you just click on this Quizlet flashcards link, and those will appear. And so here we are in biology terms, lesson 1. And we can click on this flashcards tab right here and go to options if you need to, and select both. Sometimes it appears with both, exit out of that, and sometimes it'll appear with both the term and the definition beneath it, but that's how you want to start. And here you just look, data, a collection of facts and information. You just read through what that term is defined as, and you just move through and complete all of them for that particular assignment. When you're finished, then you can go and back to options, and this time click term and exit out of that and start over. Click that start over. So see here, just that definition shows up, and you need to try to work on memorizing what the term is that goes with that. And so you don't use the arrows to do that. You click on the card itself, and that'll flip it. And you can see how it says there at the bottom, click to flip at the bottom right. So you click it and it flips, and there's the term that goes with that definition. Now use the arrow button, go to the next one, and click to flip, and there's the term that goes with that definition. And so on, arrow to the next definition, click to flip, and see the term. Every week in Dive Science begins with definitions. Spend 15 to 20 minutes trying to memorize those. Starting with definitions as opposed to doing reading or homework, that's just an easier way to move into a new topic. You get familiar with the words and what they mean first. And the most famous science book ever written, The Principia by Isaac Newton, that's how he started his book, with rules and definitions. The most famous math book ever written, by Euclid, called The Elements, that's how he started his book over 2,000 years ago. This is a time-tested approach to learning, is to begin with the fundamentals, which would be some new rules and definitions. Spend 15 to 20 minutes trying to memorize those, and then when you're done, you can just exit out of Quizlet. And typically, let me just move down here, you can see that it opens in a new window, which we can just exit out of, and that gets us back to the page that we were on. For your reading assignment, you have a couple of options. One is to use the internet textbook assignment, and you can see this link here next to the online textbook reading, and you can use that. Or find the reading assignment on the Dive reading syllabus for your textbook that you're using. And the teacher's guide found on the course homepage, that has a list of physical textbooks if you prefer that over an online internet textbook. And we have those matched to the Dive Science course. The Internet textbook is our recommended reading supplement. It's designed specifically for the Dive Biology course. And so here you can see this link right here, online textbook reading. You just click on that and that will open up normally in a new window, and you can just read through that topic there. Now, like the flashcards, this opens in a new window usually, and so you can just exit out of that to get back to your week page that you were on. So your Dive High School Science course is a college prep course, and it's lecture based, meaning most of the material for the assignments and exams comes from the lectures. The reading assignment, what we want you to do with that is familiarize yourself with the concept that's being taught that day. You do your definitions, then you do your reading, and you develop more understanding, but you don't have to get bogged down trying to make sure that you totally understand everything right then and there. We don't recommend taking notes on the reading assignment. We want to caution against that. Instead, have the focus of taking good notes on the video lectures. Many concepts, especially in a biology course, are very facts-based, so you're identifying parts of an animal or parts of a cell, things like that. There's not a lot of deep understanding involved, but when there is, then that's when you want to just get familiar with it with your reading and then use the lecture for that deeper understanding. After you've watched your lecture and taken good notes, then you're ready to complete your review questions. And so you just click on review questions there, and for this example, this is lesson 1 review. In a little bit, we'll look at one from Earth Science. But no matter the course, all the review questions have the same form to them. And you see there it says attempt quiz now. Don't click on that until you are truly ready to begin. And it's not a quiz though. That's just what Educadium calls this. And it's a learning activity. It requires you to apply what you learned in your lecture plus your definitions, developing more understanding and retention. You may use your lecture notes and your vocabulary, your Quizlet definitions. You might even want to open a separate window with those Quizlet definitions handy for you. Also, because it is a learning activity here, it's a small percentage of the overall grade. So here's question 1. See that come up, and you can scroll through and see everything if you want to all at the same time. But question 1, you notice it's a multiple choice. You choose an answer by clicking on the bubble next to it. And science is, and I'm going to choose boring, although you better not think that's the right answer. Click submit, and it puts a red X there, says it's wrong. And of course, science isn't boring. It's amazing, filled with all sorts of wonders. And notice though how it says that it's not completely wrong, that marks for submission. It says the submission attracted a penalty of 0.1. And marks for submission 0 out of 1, that just means you didn't get it right. But it says if incorrect, please try again. So this time I'm going to say observations of God's creation. Select that, click submit again. That's correct. You have multiple attempts on each question. The purpose of that is because you just finished your lecture. I don't expect you to have everything memorized. It's okay if you mess up. It's not like completely wrong the first try. Again, it's not a quiz. I don't want you guessing though. If you don't know the answer, move on to the next question. Now, when needed, video solutions are included in the automated feedback. For example, look at this chemistry question here. Let's say we thought the answer was 6 grams on that. And so we hit submit, and that's partially correct. Look, it says click here for video solution. It actually says it in 2 places, either one you can try, and that'll open up. You'll need to run Adobe Flash. Click on that, click allow, and a step-by-step video solution will appear, which you can just click play and watch. And like other video lectures, you can easily fast forward, rewind through that, and get a step-by-step explanation to how to solve that problem, and hopefully see where your mistake was on it too. Thoughtfully write that solution down. Then you can exit out of that and choose that correct answer there. Click submit, and it's correct. So we see other multiple choice problems there, and there's also some fill in the blank or short answer problems. And you'll notice on all of those, if there's a word to put in there, correct spelling is required. So type the word in you think is correct, but don't add any extra spaces. And so here, I'll type in pure, and I'm not going to do pure space, 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 space. It will get confused and count that wrong. So just that word. Click submit, and that one was correct. If it was incorrect, I could try it again. For problem 5, I'll type in real and click submit, real science. And that one's wrong. Now, it doesn't matter if it's capitalized or not. That doesn't affect whether it's right or wrong, just spelling. So it has to be the right word, of course, but that's the problem here. That wasn't the right word. Now, multiple choice and those short answer are the main types of problems. There's also some matching problems as well, like this problem 13. And so on there you have to select the right answer for each option. And so you select choose, and so a solid, that would be the geosphere, a gas would be the atmosphere, liquid, the hydrosphere, and space doesn't have any of those. So we click submit there, and that was correct. Now, if during the assignment you need to walk away, you need to stop or pause, you must first click save without submitting. See down there on the bottom left, and log out of the e-learning system. Now, when you're ready to come back to the lesson, then we recommend restarting your computer, log back in, open the assignment, and you'll click continue. Now, we don't really use that submit page button. Don't click on that. Once you've finished everything, though, click submit all and finish here on the bottom right, and then OK there, and your grade will be recorded, and this results page is displayed. Let's talk about this results page, and at the top you can see the time taken, started on, completed on, the grade, and there's that marks 2.9 out of 13. And so there's different ways of grading things, and so like if you did 2.9 divided by 13 times that by 100, that's 22.31. See, that's what that grade is right there as well. So different educators, they want the scores in different methods. So what we normally do is just look at that grade, 22.38. It's a 100-point scale. And obviously that's not a very good score. So if your student did have a really low score, don't retake the practice set. The first attempt is scored as a grade, so you can't just retake it and get a better grade or whatever. It doesn't work that way. The first attempt is the one that's recorded, but instead follow these steps to relearn and correct. So you can see here that there's detailed information recorded for each question and each attempt taken on a question. So you can see there, like on this first one, multiple choice, the observation of God's creation, it has that green check mark next to it, and it says correct. So that means I did that one right, but that's also the correct answer. And here under history of responses, you can see 2 attempts were made on that. Remember, I did it wrong, chose the wrong one the first try, and then correctly the second try. And then when I hit submit all and finish, that was like action number 3. But you can always tell what answer was correct on a multiple choice because it's highlighted green in the results. So like number 2, I didn't even do that one. Notice there's no history of results table, that white table like there was in number 1 with the actions taken, because I didn't take any action on it. But you can still see the correct answer there. So if you really didn't know that one, you'd want to put that in your notes, and then you have that answer in your notes so that when you do your quarterly review, you have all the information from that lesson that's important in your notes. Now scrolling down to short answer here, remember number 4, we got that right the first time, so the first action there was correct. Number 5, we got it wrong and we stopped. We didn't try again on that one. But notice here's the correct answer. It'll show you what the correct answer is. That's supposed to be applied science. So for short answer, if it's a completely missed, then that correct answer shows up there. And so notice in that table of responses there, that history of responses, notice like if you do miss one, like on this multiple choice, we missed it that first time, then there was a 10% penalty. And so then we got it right the second time, but it's only 0.9 out of 1 total point. So 90% correct on that individual problem. And that's probably more information than you'd ever want to know. It even has like the time that was finished, the time that second attempt was taken, the time the first attempt was taken, everything. Lots of detailed information in there. So if you're looking at your students' results in this and you see a lot of actions, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or something, then that could be an indication that they're guessing. And if their grade is 75% or less, because if they took good notes, if they had their definitions there ready and they knew those well, then the reviews are pretty easy. But if you see lots of actions there, that's an indication that they're guessing. And that's a bad habit that you'll want to address. So for each one of those that was completely incorrect, it says marks 0 out of 1 on there. There's no check mark anywhere, no correct word anywhere, then those are the ones you want to put in your notes. So when you're done with that, you can click Finish Review, and it brings you back to this page, and there's information there. You can go back and look at your attempt again if you want to. Parents, you can see any grade anytime. If you go to the course home page, I just click there, you scroll down, you click on Grades. We just did lesson 1.1a. You can see the grade over there to the right. We can click on that. And if there was more than one attempt made, you can see all of those attempts here. We'll just click on that attempt number 1. And look, we're back to all of that information we were just reviewing earlier. So you have all of that access 24/7 anytime you want to take a look at your students' performance. Next, let's talk about doing a lab activity, and typically this is the last day of a week in Dive Science is the lab activity. You'll want your lab manual or lab workbook open to that particular lab activity. Like here I have an example of lab activity 5 from Dive Chemistry, and you can watch the video lab and complete that workbook. If you have the hands-on lab kit, watch the lab video first, then complete the lab's hands-on, fill out the lab sheets in the workbook also. And the videos work just like the lecture videos. You click on them to have them start playing. You'll see the workbook pages appear, which will help you kind of know if you're in the right place or not. And you have this option here to go full screen, same as the video lectures. There's times also during the lab activity that you'll want to write things off of the screen or identify things and record them. And sometimes you're asked to make measurements off of a ruler or maybe off a graph or maybe like here just writing down a name for that color that you see of that light and then using a meter to show the peaks of light wavelengths for that particular activity, and you sketch those in. A great thing about a video lab like this, if you're doing this hands-on compared to like just a regular book with a list of instructions in it, is that you actually get to see what the lab looks like, and that really helps you do it successfully. So like here, that's really important to see how to put your stick with the chemical on it into the burner flame there so that you don't burn the stick and things like that. So there's good explanation. It makes the lab safer too, especially one like this in chemistry, integrated chemistry and physics as well. There's some things that are fairly dangerous. You're using flames a lot of times to heat things. So a screenshot like this with an audio explanation behind it, that really will help ensure that you do this correctly and have a successful lab. And of course, you can always rewind anytime you need to see what you're supposed to do and refresh your memory or whatever. If there's something you missed, so you can see what things look like, and then you can move on. So complete that activity, make your recordings in your lab manual when asked to. Now let's talk about quarterly exams. And at the end of every quarter, typically every 8 weeks, there's a quarterly exam. And this is part of the college prep feel that Dive Science courses have. So they're lecture-based as opposed to textbook-based. And then every 8 weeks, you have an exam over the previous 7 weeks worth of material. And that's a common thing that happens in college classes, is you have a big exam over a lot of material. And so studying for something like that and developing good study habits is important now instead of when you get to college. So here we are on week 8 quarterly exam, 1 page, and you can see some instructions there. Print and follow the study instruction sheet for exams, and so you can just open that up. That opens up as a Google Doc, and then you can print that out. So look over those study instructions when it's time for that week, and that's all you do that week is study for and take that exam. And so you want to spend a good amount of time studying for 3 to 4 days. There, 2 hours per day is standard for this. Great study prep ideas include reviewing your vocabulary using the flashcards that are on that exam page. We'll go back to that in a minute. And taking your review questions again. Only the first attempt on your review questions is recorded, so you can take them again to prove to yourself that you really know all of those answers. That's a great way to study. Use your notes as you do that. Add missing information that you maybe didn't have in there before, so that that set of notes will just be very thorough, and you can look back over that also for studying. And there's other instructions here to follow as well, like don't open the exam until you're really truly ready to take it. So going back to that page here, number 2, you can see that link. There's a link to the flashcards for the entire quarter. So that just makes it a little more efficient for you instead of having to click on every flashcard for every week. And number 3, to take that exam, you want to follow this instruction sheet. So another thing to print out there, and that's going to stay the same from quarter to quarter. So you just have to print that out one time. Again, the exam is timed. Can you tell we really want to make sure you study this instruction sheet? Here it is. It's the same link here, here, here. Want to make sure that you print that out and follow that. We want you to do good on this. Following these instructions is a proven method for doing good on the exam. So when you're ready, you click on that. This is integrated chemistry and physics here. So you can see it says there you have 1 hour to complete the exam. Only materials allowed are a pencil and a calculator. You may take the exam twice. Look, it says attempts allowed 2 right there. And your scores will be averaged. So the grading method, average grade right here. And so think about it. If you got an 80 the first time, you look at your mistakes, correct those, you should be able to get 100 the second time. The average of 80 and 100 is 90. So by putting in that effort to make corrections, it's like you get an extra 10 points for putting in that effort. That's why we do it that way. And so this is timed. You click attempt quiz now. It asks, are you really ready? And that means, do you have an hour to do this? It's probably not going to take you an hour, but do you have that time set aside? You don't have to go to a basketball practice or something in 10 seconds. So you don't want it to be like that. You want to have that hour set aside. So you hit OK there. Your exam opens up. You can see the time running there in the top left corner. And let me scroll down here and just show you something. On a timed exam, you can save it without submitting, just like in case your power goes out or whatever. But you don't want to like save it and then just walk away for 3 hours, because you have a 1 hour time limit, and that's not going to work for this. So that's why I'm saying you want to make sure before you start that you have an hour to do it, that you truly can have that time set aside. And then you hit submit all and finish as usual, and then your results will pop up. So you can scroll through those, see what your correct answers are for those, and then also this is especially helpful for math-related problems because there's usually some steps to work through and formulas that you need to use. And so you can click on the solutions here, and a PDF file opens that, again, especially for math-related problems like this number 12 here, it explains how to get that value and how to use that formula in that problem. So if you need that, use that as well. And then once you feel like you're ready, you can hit Finish Review. And you see that attempt 1 there to the left. And again, here's that PDF solutions again if you need that. And you can reattempt the quiz again when you're ready. You don't have to do it immediately or anything. You can come back a day later if you need to. And that's all for this Getting Started course. I hope that was helpful. God bless, and I hope you have a great year.